My name is Alfred Ayala. I'm a professor of surgery research trends at the Rhode Island Hospital, Brown University. My first memory of shock. I went to the 89 Marco Island meeting. And while I could talk about when I got off the plane and where I went to the hotel, I think that's kind of irrelevant. My first real memory is going down to the basement where they had the poster session and standing in front of a poster, and actually the place was filled with people, which for me was kind of an unusual experience. I'd been to small meetings, other societies in other fields, and this was really my first big meeting in what I call the shock, sepsis, critical care field. And I found it really novel that there were so many people coming up to my poster interested in what I had to say. So that was kind of my big thing. To me, shock has always served as this place where people who are interested in, I'm not going to say a specific field of science, because that was one of the interesting and exciting parts about it. There were people from a lot of different fields, from physiology, from pathology, from immunology, which is sort of where my background was. In fact, I came to it as an immunoparasitologist and then worked my way into the study of shock, sepsis, and those aspects. So it was exciting to be somewhere where the science of this aspect of what we study was the foremost question, and not simply more the critical study within people who are critically ill versus putting the basic sciences sort of sometimes to the side, which is how I've sometimes felt in more patient-oriented type of societies. We get the perspective here, which is, I think, really important. It gives us grounding to help put our science in context. So maybe that, to me, is probably that it's this place where we can still talk about our science first and then put it into the perspective of how it fits within the patient. Yeah, we're wrong a lot, but I think, at least we get to vet it here. And I go to other meetings, and I can be at a huge meeting and number of people, but there'll be 10 people who show up at the presentation out of the thousands that are there. This meeting, almost always people are at your sessions, at your posters, so you don't feel like you're talking to no one. So that to me is probably the most important thing. I came on, I would say we were in the third year of a recovery process for the society financially and fiscally. I'd served as the treasurer and been fortunate to work with 2 or 3 presidents who really had put their shoulders to the stone to try and rectify the problems with our society. We changed our meeting management. We changed the organization that ran the journal. And we were really down financially. But fortunately, because I was able to work with these people, we were able to sort of recover extensively and at least know that the society was now on a path towards financial solvency. And so when I came to it then, we were now moving in this way and could start to see that there was some light at the end of the tunnel, so we could think about new things. The thing I put forward in my presidential talk was a concept of recruiting and trying to reach out to people at a junior faculty level. My concept was at that time that these were the people who had maybe the biggest investment potentially in our society and might be members, and this could also be used as a touchstone to build their careers, a few bucks to help build their science in some way, which they could use as recognition. So leveraging that, I was very fortunate to work with Carl Hauser, who was on our committee to build to recruit funds, and with having given this presidential talk on this concept, quite literally, Novartis and Carl came together to step up and provide funding for this idea. And so it started as an industrial-sponsored idea, but it's been going since, I want to say, 2005. At the end of my tenure, the first one was funded, first two. And they have since gone on to fund it through the society without corporate funding, but it's alive and well, and I think it's a very positive aspect of what this society does. And that was really, we were probably one of the first societies to do a junior faculty level award that went to basic scientists as well as clinician scientists. You know, this is the thing I say when I think about community and what kind of community scientists are, as well as what kind of community shock is, as well as what kind of community you would say the critical care field is. It's small, and people like me who come into it when we're young and junior don't always realize this. We tend to think that there's so many scientists out there, and we say something that nobody else will think about. This community is small enough that everybody, you see a lot of people, and a lot of people will see you who can affect your career. And I will say I was not only affected by my mentor, who had a lot to do with getting me to come to this organization, Irshad Chowdhury. I mean, I'm indebted to him for focusing me on such a wonderful society. But also, you know, I found myself not only speaking to fellow scientists who could have input and who I collaborate with, and many of which I still collaborate with today, but also learned, you know, you're speaking to people who will eventually review your science, literally for peer review, for grant review. There are people from study sections. All these people had effects. I think being able to put my science in front of these people really made a big difference from that perspective. It also affected the kinds of things our society could do, and it also affected my opportunities outside of just Shock Society to be able to get to other forums and present things. So it's really, for me, it was a very strong growth type promoting, career promoting, scientific promotion type activity. We were at a place where we were now on a road to recovery financially. So, you know, we had the limitations of what you could do with the funds at that time, but I was at least able to say I could see that we had a path forward and that the journal looked like it was going to now bring money, which it had just started to do then. And the meeting had brought a few bucks. The meeting's always kind of hard, but you know, a meeting is about sharing our ideas. So we don't always make money on them, but that's not the important aspect. It's about being here, sharing ideas, collaboration, and connections. The hardest things I'll actually have to say were the things that came a year or two before that, and that was just running this meeting. You know, running this meeting is a hard thing. You can't always do everything everybody suggests, and so you have to say no about a bunch of things. People have different reasons and things that happen even at a very meeting venue as they go on. Or you tell people no if they didn't pay for things because you know, no one wants to do those kinds of things. But everything costs money here, and that I think between life as treasurer, life as meeting management in this organization, and president, I learned that, you know, you got society funds. Those were hard to come by. They come from the members. They come from the journal. Don't waste them. And so it means you try to do the best job to be inclusive, but it can't include everybody, and you have to say no on some things. And so yeah, I guess that's not very specific, but that's the best I can tell you. Yeah, geez. My fondest memory is that that fellowship, the junior faculty fellowship that I had discussed. You know, it's just like, it was a part of my presidential address and that it actually came to pass. Because I think that's, a president is supposed to be, it's the old thing with the George Bush Sr. of the vision thing. They argued he didn't have it at the same time. I think we had a vision thing, and for me, that was my vision. So that's what I talked about. And it's great to see the society has really stepped up and not only supported that, they've gone on to extend it to a postdoctoral type of fellowship. The military or DOD stepped up to support another postdoctoral fellowship. And we have a wonderful cadre of various travel awards for our junior students and grads and postdocs who come. So I'm really thrilled that the society tries to bring as many folks into the organization and recognize them in this way, because it's great for them, I think, as a career development thing. So that was the greatest thing from a personal perspective. Kind of the goofiest thing, but I liked it at the same time was, back then we used to invite people, you'd get the presidential suite at the end of the year. I think I was in Marco Island. This was the year after I gave my presentation, and we had now established this fellowship. But irrespective to the fellowship, I invited, I think, most of the awardees and new members all up to the presidential suite, because you get the suite and it's like, what are you going to do with it? So I figured, well, I might as well bring them all upstairs. And it was great to kind of have all of these members, be able to enjoy this place and be able to meet with you and really get a little FaceTime with them. It was great. I love that. Clear aspects that were particularly funny as president, I would say, what I remember are all the things that I've done in this society with people. I mean, people have talked about with team building. That's what I would have described it in Colorado, a rafting experience where we were fortunate not to lose any of our crew. I can think of running in the snow with Dan Remick in, I think it was not Snowbird, it was Big Sky. Running in the snow in June for the run. It was a kind of truncated run, but it was still kind of the bizarro world to be running through the snow in June. And I can think of maybe in Marco Island running through the 100% humidity, which is the reverse logic of what we've got going here in the sand. Running in the sand, no. I've done this like 3 or 4 times, but I'll probably do it again, but yeah. Those are the kinds of things I remember. The free time working, talking with folks. Like last night at a baseball game with Craig Cooper-Smith and my junior faculty colleague, Sean Monahan, all just hanging out. It's just a way to get together beyond what we are as professionals and share time and professional thoughts, yeah. The one thing that I always worry about is, as we get older and as we get busier, we tend to move away from the things that were the value to us as young people. And the value to us when we're young is learning to work with folks, meet folks, present our science. I still get very excited when I get an opportunity to present my science. I'm not the best speaker, but, and I get the nerves that everybody else gets, and I'm sure some of that shows here. But this meeting is designed in a way that it acts almost like a Keystone or a Gordon Conference type. We're usually at a venue now that, they've tried to make it easier to get in and out, which it is. And I think that's a plus, but it's still at a resort type setting. So I think people feel a little more comfortable and they let their guard down a little bit. And so they feel a little more comfortable in sharing their science. And to me, the most important part of this, and we have to remember this as the people who run or are involved in driving the organization, is that they want to meet us as much as anything. And the big thing for me when I was younger was meeting all these people, putting faces on names I had read. They come to this meeting, and it's amazing. You tend to think, oh, I could never approach this person. But that's the important thing. And this venue is designed to kind of do that. So I think it's important to preserve things like the free afternoon. It's been a great way to interact with a lot of these people. It's important to preserve enough time within the meeting to let people collaborate. In other words, let's not clutter it up with thousands of co-sessions and, you know, and keep it at venues where people are comfortable. If we're in hotels in downtown New York or Boston or Chicago, which are typical convention sites, people are in and out in 5 minutes and you don't get that interaction. That's what's valuable to me here. Yeah, I hope we keep that.